What's the better whiskey, bourbon or rye? Let's find out. What's going on, everybody? Nathan here with the Everyday Drinker, bringing you guys a brand new episode. Today, on the bar top, we have two different whiskeys. We have a bourbon and we have a rye, and they're both by Stellum Spirits. We have their two newest releases that are hitting the markets as we speak. We have the Hunter's Moon Bourbon bottled at 115.52 proof, and this is distilled in Indiana, Tennessee, and Kentucky. They also sent me their newest release rye called the Lone Cypress, very, very closely similar proof at 115.34 proof, and this is also distilled in Indiana, Tennessee, and Kentucky. This isn't a blind. We're just going to see which one I prefer and what their flavor profiles compare to, and I am super, super excited for this. But without further ado, I want to thank you guys so much for the love and support. Yesterday's video did very, very well. We are getting closer and closer to that 2,000 mark. We have a couple more days until Christmas. That is only up to you guys if we hit 2,000 by Christmas. So make sure, if you're brand new watching this video, hit that subscribe button for your chance to win a bottle of Eagle Rare 10-year-old bourbon. But let's start with the rye. I think that this is going to be really, really interesting, and I want to see what this rye does in my palate. Ooh, smells like there's a dark chocolate right there on that rye, right on the forward nose of that rye. There's a touch of mint, a little bit of pine needle. I'm getting that rye spice, like that signature, like toasted rye bread. I'm getting a little nuttiness, like I'm smelling walnuts and like pecans and thicker, like thicker nuts like that. It smells really good though. It really, really does. Like, it's not a lot of burn coming into the nose. Like, I'm deep in that glass smelling it. And that there's a strong mint though, and that the pine needles are really, really strong as well. I'm getting a touch of like an oak char, but it's definitely like a prominent rye. It really, really is. But I want to get into the nose of the bourbon and see what that compares to and see if it's completely different. Oh yeah, wow. That's, guys, if you haven't done like a rye compared to a bourbon and you're interested in knowing what the differences are, grab a rye, grab a bourbon. If you have two of the same distillery, do that as well, like I'm doing right here. And just smell them side by side. Like, this is so much more spicy, and this just smells so sweet. It's so interesting how different these whiskeys are. And they have pretty much the same ingredients. You know, this is at least 51% rye. This is at least 51% corn. And what those percentages in the mash bill does to the whiskey, especially on the nose, is so crazy in my opinion. But going back to the bourbon, I smell a little bit of popcorn, like buttery popcorn mixed with maybe a little bit of kettle corn in there as well, like sweet and salty going on there. A little maple sugar, a little apple. It smells super sweet. Like, it's super sweet compared to the rye. The rye is thick and spicy. This is light, buttery, and sweet on the nose for sure. Really, really nice. But let's get into the palate of the rye and see what this bad boy tastes like, because that's what we're all about. What do these whiskeys taste like? So, without further ado, you got a rye in your hand. Cheers, guys. Yep. All right, that's a rye. It's herbal. There's herbs hitting you in the face like you wouldn't believe. It feels like you're walking through like an herb patch. Like, you got thyme, you got rosemary, you've got all of these like cooking like spices and herbs that are just boiling in water in that glass. It's minty, it's fresh, it's earthy, it's herbal. There's some floral notes. Very, very nice. It really, really is. I'm not the biggest rye guy, and there's a touch of like a sweetness that comes in at the end of the finish there. It's just now starting to fade off after that first sip, and it's got a sweetness to it that I really, really like. But that earthiness is just so prominent for ryes, and it's something I really still need to grow into and find myself to enjoy. It's not something that I'm thrown off from now like I used to be, but it's 100% like a high rye. This is good. Second sip, a lot of that herbalness like fades off. The mintiness stays. And it like, I don't know why, but the name Cypress on this bottle, like I drew a little blank, but it really does taste like Cypress. It really, really does. That's so interesting because this name is 100% what this tastes like. It tastes like a cypress. It really does. Cypress, spruce, birch, all of those trees, that's what's in this glass. It's really, really interesting. But I want to get into the palate of the bourbon and see what this bad boy is all about, because you guys know I love my bourbons and I'm trying to love my ryes, but let's see what this bad boy is all about. It drinks hotter than the rye. It drinks a lot hotter than the rye. It's got a really, really nice palate. Very, very oily. Sweet off the bat, I'm getting like raisins and dried like cranberries. Raisins, craisins, apricot. Dries your mouth out like crazy. Long finish. There's a subtle grain note in there because it is on the younger side. There's like a cornflake going on. Maple syrup. It's thick. It really is. Like I'm enjoying it. It's sitting on my tongue. Really, really pleasant. I think I like the rye a little bit better, which is really, really interesting because this is really good. But this was really, really, really good. Yeah, I think what's throwing me off on the bourbon is it's drinking significantly hotter than the rye. The rye was very, like, it had kick to it, but it was softer on the burn compared to the bourbon. Yeah, that is super mellow on the burn. The flavors are so compact. It's super oily and viscous. And I am enjoying that earthy quality that is coming from this rye compared to the sweetness that is coming from this bourbon. I think that this might be a little over sweet. And I like my bourbon sweet, but I think that this is just a little too sweet. I also am thinking I'm getting a little bit too much of that Dickel influence. They are both absolutely fantastic, but I'm going to go for the rye. I think that this rye, as a beginner rye drinker myself, this Lone Cypress, this is hands down one of the best I've had since starting to try ryes. And I'm going to be picking up a bottle of this no matter what. This is darn good stuff, and I can't wait to see this on the shelf. Let me know down in the comments if you have found either one of these on the shelves, the Hunter's Moon Stellum Bourbon or the Lone Cypress Stellum Rye. Both really, really good, and I think that they're under that $50 price range. I could be wrong, but let me know down in the comments. I really, really enjoyed this Lone Cypress Rye. It was fantastic, and you guys know I'm a big bourbon guy. Not really high into the ryes yet, but this one right here is going to be on my shelf no matter what. If you guys are watching this by Christmas, let me know what you got for Christmas down in the comments below. Any fun bourbons or ryes, let me know. Until next time, this has been Nathan with The Everyday Drinker. Cheers.